In this video, we are uncovering what is a good exercise and what is a bad exercise, and what actually define a good and a bad exercise. Welcome back, I'm Coach Jesper, and I have tried weightlifting, calisthenics, and CrossFit exercises, and I have experience with a quite different range of training styles and exercises. So in this video, I will clarify to you what are good exercises and what are bad exercises. First thing first, we first need to identify what or set the parameters for how do I identify a good and a bad exercise. So the way I identify it is simply by how risky is the exercise for causing injury and how effective is the exercises. And this can be a little bit tricky, but first of all, how risky is? Yes. First of all, in my opinion, a good exercise is an exercise that is super safe and super effective. You can say in theory that, oh yeah, but every exercise are safe if you just have proper form, if you do it with proper form. Yes, and that is true. But some exercises are just way more difficult to do with proper form. And with that said, it's also very important to simply just acknowledge what exercises to do when. Effectiveness of the exercise. We can say there's a basic form of it, that you of course have your basic exercises: squats, deadlift, pull-ups, push-ups, bench press, and these exercises. Not all these weird looking exercises. If you stay with in the base and fundamental exercises, well, the most likely will be effective for you. And then there can be some variance from person to person on basically how they respond in terms of the effectiveness. But all in all, let me give you an example of a bad exercise. In my opinion, a super bad exercise is the Turkish get-up. If you don't know the Turkish get-up, then it's that you have to lay on the ground with your hand straight forward, and then you hold a weight in your arm, and then you have to get standing up while you're holding it, and it's in your shoulder, right? And your shoulder joint can do like this in all directions. So you can imagine, as soon as you get the weight out of balance, you are so exposed to get an injury. And it's actually also how I got a dislocated shoulder. So yeah, but you're very vulnerable to get out of position and get the injury. Even though it requires a lot of stability and balance, and it might be good for that, the level of risk for injury is super high in the exercise, and therefore I will categorize it as a bad exercise. Because even though it might be effective to some point, it's not that super effective. It's not one of those where you just say, yeah, this is the exercises to go to if you wanna train your shoulders. No, it's not one of those where you really get strong shoulders, and the risk for injury is super high. So it's one of those exercises where it just doesn't even matter try to do it. Then you have another exercise like the deadlift. So why the deadlift? The deadlift is actually a super effective exercise for your lower back and your hamstring. But why do I say the deadlift? Yes, because deadlift is actually an advanced movement, quite an advanced movement, because you have to get all the way down to the ground with straight back. And that's also how I hear most people get injured in the gym. It's like, oh, I got injured. Oh, what did you do? I did deadlift. Oh, okay, so you pull your back? Yeah, I did. So that's high risk for you to pull your back, because what are people typically doing? You ego lift, you lift too much, and then to get the weight up, you have to slack on the form, and then you pull your back. But here is one thing I noticed with deadlift. Deadlift is actually not that risk if you just do it fucking right. And that's kind of counterintuitive what I just said. But hear me out. Here's how you actually make deadlift from being a risky exercise, so a bad exercise, to actually a quite good one. First of all, don't start out deadlifting right away, especially if you are a beginner. If you're advanced, then we will get to the, just follow to the end and I'll tell you how you can do it. You start with Romanian deadlift, because first of all, you might not be used to the movement. Romanian deadlift doesn't require you to go all the way down. You just have to go down to your knees. And you can also have maybe tight hamstrings. They're not that flexible or have any good ability to stretch. So with Romanian deadlift, you can train up the stretch and train the deadlift as you go. And especially for me, as a tall person, I have long legs. So sometimes it's like, Phil, you're super long way down to the ground and to do the deadlift. And this is for all the people who have trained for a long time and used to it. So sometimes what I do, I can feel I cannot get that deep stretch in my hamstring to get all the way down to the ground. So what I do is actually, I go back to just do the RDLs and just work through it. But instead of just stop with my knee, I just try to get as far down as I can and then up again. And then slowly throughout the exercise, it's maybe just 10 reps or so. Then I can get all the way down to the ground and do the deadlift without any problems. And that's the way, especially for the deadlift, how you can always balance it between that you keep the good form and then there's not really any risk. And then you realize, oh, you cannot keep the good form, but then you adjust it to lower the risk. And that's a nice way to go about it. Then what about all the good exercises? What about those? Yeah. So it all depends on, of course, what you want to do. If you want to lift super heavy and just lift the heaviest shit as possible, well, then machines, they're probably your absolutely best friend. Because first of all, you cannot get a barbell in a bench press falling down over your head. And especially if you want to do chest, shoulders, that's probably some of the best. The Smith machine or something like that, a leg press for your legs. The machines are super good if you want to lift very, very heavy. Another form is also rows with dumbbells, where you lay on the bench. You do a dumbbell bench press. Because with dumbbell bench press, even though you have your arms out and it's vulnerable with your shoulders, you can actually just drop the weights if it becomes too much. Dumbbell shoulder press, it's a little bit more challenging as you still have your shoulder out. So it can be, that can still be bad for your shoulder, but it's not as risky as something else. It's still quite stable. But from my experience, if you had to choose what are the most safe exercises you can do, and that's also super effective for your strength and your performance. And now, also to make sense, I talk for more a functionality, functional training, actually a longevity standpoint. And there's 4 exercises. There's sled push, sled drag, which both trains your essentially your full body, but it increases your cardio, it pushes your legs, and it works your hip raises, hamstrings, all of it, all the way through. Then you have the farmer walkers, where you carry weight in your arms. You train your forearms and just your overall grip strength, and also get some cardio in at the same time. And then the next thing is hanging from a bar, which helps train a little bit in your back and also your forearms. You can do hanging in 2 ways. So you can either do a dead hang that doesn't train really your back, but you can do it active where you just increase up in your scapula in your back and just activate them. Then you also train your back. And that's probably the 4 most effective exercises you can do. If you like the video, remember to like and subscribe, and share in the comment your 4 exercises that you think are safe and effective based on my parameters that I said in the start of this video. And remember to mention what style and training and purpose it is for, because that's very important, because if you train for hypertrophy or strength, there's different exercises you want to do. So with that said, see you in the next one. I'm Jesper, I'm out. Peace.